Socrates, one of the greatest philosophers in all of history, once said while talking to a friend, "Nobody cares about your birth or upbringing or education. In essence, nobody cares about your childhood." This statement reflects the ancient Greeks' attitudes toward childhood. They thought childhood itself was important, but they didn't think it was important to record it. This lack of interest on the part of ancient historians about ancient Greek childhood resulted in a lack of written information about it, thus providing scholars with a challenge when researching ancient Greek childhood. But why should we care about ancient Greek childhood? We should care because learning about what the ancient Greeks learned, their education, and the different religious and ceremonial rites of passage that they participated in, we can learn more about the adult Greek men who influence Western civilization today with their contributions of democracy, architecture, art, sports, philosophy, and theater. And how can we learn about ancient childhood if there's no written records? Archaeologists and scholars use a lot of visual evidence, like pottery, inscriptions, bronze and stone sculptures, and grave monuments. And for my project, I've been doing research about coming-of-age rituals, and there's a lot of ancient Greek art that depicts children participating in these coming-of-age rituals. And two of the rituals I've been researching are the Arctia and the Kois ritual. And the Arctia is a coming-of-age ritual that ancient Greek girls participated in. It occurred in ancient Athens in the classical era, and this is a cup that they found at the site of Brauron, which is a cult temple of Artemis located outside of Athens. And as you can see here, there's a girl running towards an altar, and archaeologists have discovered that there was this coming-of-age ritual during which young girls, ages 5 to 10, were symbolically adopted by Artemis. And Artemis, as some of you may know, was the goddess of the hunt, of wild animals, and a protectress of young girls. And she would adopt them so that she could help them as they transitioned between childhood and being married, because young girls in ancient Greece got married in their early to pre-teens. And this was an important milestone for them to reach, because they would soon be wives and they'd soon be mothers, and they'd have to learn how to take on their responsibilities. And during this ritual, the girls would wear bear skins, because they would be like little bears that Artemis would adopt. And they would run around the sanctuary, and there'd be animal sacrifices and festivities. Another coming-of-age ritual is called the Kois ritual, and this took place in ancient Athens in the marshes at the temple of Dionysus. And young boys who were 3 years old were gifted with a kois, which is a jug like these. And there were thousands of these jugs found in graves of children in ancient Greece. And they'd be gifted with a kois, and they'd be full of wine, so these boys would be drinking a whole jug of wine, and it holds about as much liquid as a Capri Sun. So it's not a lot, but still, it's different from what we have today. And they would be introduced into their ilikia, and an ilikia is an age group, people your age who you are going to spend the rest of your life with, kind of like a grade today. And it was an important milestone for them to reach, because infancy in ancient Greece was really dangerous, because if a child got sick, there was not a lot of medicine or technology to save the child. So reaching this milestone was really important. So for my project, I have been writing a research paper about these coming-of-age rituals that children participated in, and I've also created a curriculum. And yesterday I got to teach 3 8th grade classes about the Kois ritual and about childhood. And this is a picture of all the one of the classes holding up their notes, because they're having a quiz today on the material I taught them, which kind of scared them, because there's a lot of big words that they didn't know before. So I talked to them about what coming of age is. I introduced how a child was introduced to a community in ancient Greece, and talked to them about the different ceremonies, how a child was given its name, and then I told them about the larger festival during which the Kois ritual took place. And then they got to recreate it. So they got to sacrifice a stuffed animal, and there was a priest reading a prayer, because there was always a prayer stating the reason for the sacrifice, because it had to be justified. And then they got 5 male volunteers to sit around and drink apple juice, which was symbolizing the wine that they got to drink. And then in their groups, they got to create their own coming-of-age ritual. And they had to have the age groups that were involved in this ritual, what the purpose of it was, and what the activities were. And to end, I wanted to read you guys some of the examples that they submitted. So this group, they had a ritual for 13-year-olds, and the purpose was to show how strong and worthy you were and to kill off the weak. And they would have to drink a cup of wine and then swim through shark-infested waters after being bathed in pig blood to reach land, and the only weapons you had were a jug, a clamshell, and a knife. Another one that was really interesting was called the Coming of Retirement. This was for 75-year-olds. So what you would have to do is, before you turned 75, you had to make a bucket list of all the goals you wanted to do, and then you had to complete it on your birthday. And then they would be moved into an elderly home with all the others during the ceremony, and they'd be presented with a walker. They'd meet their family for the last time, and then they would get a sip of water with a vitamin to assure their coming of old age. They would get signed up for activities such as knitting, aerobics, book club, and then signed up for Life Alert because that's really important. And then the next morning they'd wake up and attend an early bird buffet because old people wake up early. And the last one that I really like is kind of like a script, so I'll read it to you. At the age of 50, if a girl is not yet betrothed, a certain type of narwhal is picked, and on the 1st of January, the woman is taken to Old Maid Island and has to fight to the death with Ares. Since Ares is undefeatable, once she is dead, her corpse is laid in front of the statue of the man-baby Hercules, blessed and then fed to the narwhal, making her spirit forever trapped in the depths of the underworld, so it cannot return, and persuade Aphrodite and Hera to find her love. For it is believed that if a spirit of a 50-year-old female gets love, she will turn to a siren, dooming everyone in Greece. And these are just a few of all the creative answers that they had, so thank you.
Oh my God.